dinner. It's all donation based. It comes from donations all over the country. You know, people come and drop things off 24/7. People are ordering pizzas from our sponsored pizza parlor, Liberetto's, 24/7 as well. We usually just serve vegan and vegetarian foods so that everybody can be fed, and also to avoid any kind of like salmonella risk. And we try to keep things very clean, very manageable here.
Why do you think the media is not covering this whole thing?
Oh, because they are owned by the 1%, which we are out here to try to abolish, basically, or at least knock down to a couple pegs so that they understand that they are human just like us. So, but the good thing about that is that when you Google search Occupy Wall Street, the first things that come up are independent media. So in a way, we are kind of rising up and destroying this duopoly that already exists with the NBC, the ABC, the CBS, and all these stations that ultimately, you know, all these owners sit down and have dinner at the same table. You know, so while it is unfortunate that we're not getting constant nationwide coverage, we're at least empowering the independent media and giving them their own foot in the door, and it's working to our advantage. I mean, like, it's like a direct action without us even having to take to the streets, you know.
And what do you hope the results of this will be?
I hope that we will work solidly on building a new form of democracy, a new society. We've all been oppressed in some sort of way, whether it's our families, our friends, or our own individual selves. So we hope that this cabal of elites, you know, will relinquish their positions of control, that we can shed light on the conditioning programs, on the corruptions between the government and our economy. We hope to abolish the Federal Reserve. We hope to abolish corporate personhood, which basically makes a corporation, which would be a collective of individuals in a company, that have the same rights as a human being, which isn't right. I mean, an entity, a corporate entity, should not have the same rights as I do, you know, but because that exists, that paradigm exists, I now am a corporation as well. My name on, you know, my name in capital letters on my ID is a corporation, which keeps me indebted to the Federal Reserve. So these are all issues that we're addressing, and these are all issues that are intrinsically tied up in our fight for liberty and independence as human beings. You know, so it's a human movement, and it's a naturalist movement.
One last thing, there was a lot of videos coming up on YouTube of police brutality. Have you experienced any of that? Have you seen any of those?
I haven't personally had anything happen to me, you know, alhamdulillah, thank God, but it's the first day that we were brutalized by the cops. It was pretty intense, and I mean, it was minor compared to what happened the past Saturday, but over there we have our media tent, or our media equipment, and it was a rainy day. It was actually raining a little more, and the police came in, they corralled everybody into a circle, and then they arrested a bunch of people. They wound up dragging someone away, and they just came in and they took the tarps to try to destroy thousands and thousands and thousands of dollars of media equipment in order to sabotage what we're doing down here. And it really, really affected all of us. It really, because at least for me, because I had never been, I was blessed to have never been a victim of police brutality myself. To see that they really are prepared to take those steps was shattering. I didn't know how I was going to go forward living in this country if this revolution didn't work. So that's a lot of the fire that drives us here, and you know why on Saturday we had so much resolve. We were very quick to solve problems. We were very quick to find ways to, you know, get the word out and get the word out internationally on what they can do to help us, because we need the world's help because we're here trying to help the world as well.
And anything in the Turkey that we're doing?
Oh, yeah, video. You want to ask them? We're going to make that sound. I don't know.
Nicole Holla.
What's your occupation?
I teach sociology at CUNY.
So why are you down here in general doing all this that you're doing?
Because there's nothing else left to do. I mean, the voting doesn't work, it doesn't change anything. These parties are, controlled, basically owned by the same set of corporations.
And what are you painting? Like, what's the sign that what's your message?
Well, today my message is to the haters. I think that they're not here, liberals among them, people on the right, people on the left, critical of what's going on here, and especially the police. I think there's a lot of hate. There's an image here we're being represented as hippies. It's like hippie punching, right? It's like this hippie punching going on, and I think what a lot of people would arouse in such contempt is the fact that they kind of wish that they were strong enough to resist, and I hope they do. Like the cops as well. I mean, some of them are genuinely authoritarian, and I've bought into that culture, but I think a lot of them maybe hate it, and but still haven't gotten to the point where they're joining us. But so instead, they're critical, or making excuses for not going nowhere or whatever.
Have you seen any police brutality in all?
Sure. I mean, and I didn't witness the events from Saturday in person, but I saw them online. I mean, it's heinous. It's not Syria, I mean, if this stuff is going on, elsewhere in Libya, in Syria, some country wants to invade, then suddenly there's an uproar. But these same kinds of things, I mean, when are we going to call on the UN to intervene, on our behalf? Because, the same sorts of violations prompt us to demand, foreign intervention, humanitarian intervention abroad. I mean, it's, but it's good it happened, because now Americans can really see the limits of their freedoms. I mean, what if we can't actually use them, then what good are they? It's nonsense. It's a myth.
Got any questions? Why do you think the media is not even covering this so much?
Oh, the media hates us especially, and they especially hate us for our freedom. I mean, because a lot of journalists as well are no longer reporters, they're stenographers, they just repeat the government line. This is a threat. They're not going to take it seriously. I mean, that article, I don't know, I didn't read the whole thing, but I heard responses to the article or blog in the Times describing people here as scatterbrained and borderline psychotic. I mean, come on. Has she been here? That's not what I see. I see some really, really smart, wise people who know how to think critically of all ages. It's really been exciting and heartening to see that. Really, I mean, I don't know how, and despite, growing up, in the aftermath of 9/11, dominated by fear, where education has already been declining, funding and ignorance has been on the rise, that they somehow were able to break through that and really see what's going on and be critical is really remarkable and impressive, and yeah.
It's really a shame. I asked people, do you know about this protest, and no one knows about it.
Even my friends, I mean, I put it on Facebook, and so I've got a few friends that come and respond and like my photos, but, I think it's easier to think that this is just going to be, it's going to end, and so why bother investing in it? People don't want to invest, they don't want to identify, they're scared to identify with things. They worry that, I'm going to be associated with, something that I can't control eventually, or there's all kinds of reasons, but maybe they feel like, well, they've already invested in Obama, a lot of them. They've already invested in Obama, and they don't want to give up on that investment, I guess, and make a new one, so, yeah. And they've invested in their houses, they have mortgages, they've invested in the American dream, and they cannot admit to themselves that it's a lie.
Yeah.
Chris Carter.
And what's your occupation?
Right now I'm waiting to start up. I'm a canvasser for a political party.
What's your job here in this protest?
Medic.
And what does the medics do?
Pretty much case cuts, bandage, any type of medical emergencies. I had one person I had to deal with a few days ago that was going through signs of hypothermia. One person was going through signs of shock, and we had to actually call the ambulance because he needed oxygen in his saline drip. We're not gonna inject anything in you here.
Yeah.
So pretty much take care of what we can, and if worse comes to worse, we don't have the equipment to do so, call out the EMTs.
Do you think everything's gonna go well with this? Do you think it's gonna change anything?
I think so. We may take some time, but as of right now, there's like 30 or 40, if not more, other cities doing stuff like this. So it's definitely getting out there. The only issue right now, the biggest problem that I see with why it might not go well is because mainstream media is trying to block it out. Like major newscasts or if they are covering it, it's only like maybe a 10-second blurb about what it is.
Why do you think they're not covering it?
I think because mainstream media is controlled by corporations and government, which is one thing that we're trying to change, and they don't want to get out that things need to change. Corporations can't be running the government anymore. And I think a lot of the media, especially the right-wing media, Fox News for example, is trying to avoid that because they don't want change. They're fine, they're happy making their millions of dollars they are and helping out their stockholders, when 99% of the rest of the country is getting screwed over. So I'm really glad there's a lot of independent media coming around. There's actually more media being covered of this outside. The UK Guardian over in England has a lot of coverage on this. And it's upsetting to know that they're covering it more than, say, the New York Times or New York Post or Fox News or something. I went down back home to relax in New Jersey, and it's right on the border of Pennsylvania. I talked to some of my friends and watching news, and no one down there even knows what's going on. They never heard of it.
Yeah, because I've done that too. No one knows about it, and I told them they should come down here and see it themselves.
Or even go online if they can't make it here, occupywallstreet.org. Another thing is Yahoo. They said it was a mistake and made an apology for it, but I'm not sure if I believe that story. Would block any email that had occupywallstreet.org in the email. They would say the message did not send because of suspicious activity.
Oh wow, I never heard of that.
There has been some buzz about police getting involved and, police brutality. What do you think about that? And have you treated anyone for any injuries?
I treated one kid who I wasn't there, said he got hit in the head with a nightstick. Treated him for shock, and then he started going out. Turned out the kid was also in chemotherapy, which made his immune system weak to begin with. And he's the one that we had to actually call the ambulance for. I think that for the most part, the police have been okay with it, other than with those certain situations. And I don't know if it's the same cops over and over again doing it. From reports I'm hearing about the girls that got pepper sprayed by the one cop, I can't think of his name right now, that a lot of the other cops who were around weren't even aware that was going to happen. I even heard one cop even got hit with the spray by accident because he wasn't aware it was going to happen. Not sure if you guys saw the video of that, where he just walks up, sprays and walks away. I heard reports of some of the cops like looking down with sad eyes, not realizing it's going to happen. It's fair. But unfortunately, with their job, they really can't say too much about it. They want to keep their job. I think a lot of cops are on our sides, not just here in New York, but all around. I heard Chicago came up 2-3 days ago. I heard that their cops are actually giving protesters coffee donuts. I think most of the cops in the country are with us. They just can't take a stance on it because they lose their job. I think cops are good. We need them. It's just a very slim percent that is going to treat people like with those abuse cases that's been coming. I mean, I had conversation with a lot of cops, really cool conversations with them. And I heard other people saying the cop actually told them that they wish he could just take off his uniform and join us, and we're doing a good job. I think for the most part, cops realize, and they also realize that their pensions are really in danger of being cut too, I think. That's one of the things we're fighting.
You're thinking of Jesus. Shouldn't introduce it so close after I say this name. So the idea is that this message resonates. Yeah. If I had something like, hey, let's stop quantitative easing. How many people know what quantitative easing is? Not everybody can afford time or money or energy to research quantitative easing. I don't know anything about dairy farmers. I don't have time to study dairy farming. So if there's a regulation that affects dairy farmers, I want the informed people to work on that. You guys need to go to work, you need to support your families, you need to go out to dinner, take cabs, tip your delivery guys. You guys need to continue to do what you're doing. The economic engine continues. I'm not mad at rich people. I'm angry that billionaires and billionaires pay pay less in taxes by percentage than construction workers, than cops, than firemen that are 2 blocks away. I'm angry that they pay less in taxes. This is direct democracy. What you're seeing is pure democracy. One person, one vote. They vote everything by consensus. I'm not a spokesperson for this group.
I mean, do you feel like that's policy?
Well, that's why we have a 14th Amendment.
Right.
But the idea is, yeah, how safe is that? You know, we used to have a poll tax. We used to have
a lot of these kids don't know.
Well, a lot of Americans don't know, brother. And they vote. So if you're a kid in here, or if you're a 45-year-old member of the Tea Party, what's the difference if they both don't know? They're trying to find out. We have working groups.
You're right.
Every single day we have a working group with different subjects. And if you want to know more, it's a long conversation. It's a long conversation. Let's start by making sure that the other 99% has a seat at the table. You know, they said that they wouldn't listen if I boycotted water fountains that were segregated. Or they said they wouldn't listen if I sat at a Woolworths lunch counter and other people dumped flour and ketchup on my head. That happened. And they said, oh, it's not going to make a difference. Barack Hussein Obama is president. It made a difference. It made a difference. So is this...
Pacify everybody.
What's pacifying?
Pacifying.
Absolutely not. I think it's unfair. I think it's unfair for you to even say that.
We're in a meeting.
This guy's back. This guy's back. You ready to write? You ready to tell me where to get that $120,000 job? Where do I get the $120,000 job you talked about? I have looked through times. There's no jobs. Where else? Because I've looked. Is there a job there? Can you help me out and just tell me? Can you email me when you find one? You won't do that for me. I'm a citizen. I'm an American. You won't help out an American. Okay, he won't help out an American. Just make sure you know that.
No, we just had a good conversation.
We had a really weird conversation.
Yeah, we had a good one.
Oh, yeah, I'm the one with the attitude. I'm the one with the attitude.
I agree with you. I'm not saying you're not right.
I'm winning. He represents small donors. And then when he got
I represent America.
by Big Bang.
I think he's just a guy here.
I'm representing America.
You don't represent America. You represent the top of 1%. You do not represent America. My America invests in infrastructure and education. My America invests in poor kids. You do not represent America. Sir, you do not represent America. Bring your friends. Bring your friends. I got my friends. You bring your friends. You do not represent America. You do not represent America.
I got beat by the top 1%.
Well, can you go talk with him and get him away from my table? We're not in the same reality. We're not in the same reality. Okay. He's the guy that says that Obamacare gave death panels. Obamacare gave 18 million people cancer screenings last year. Obamacare saved $600 million in prescription medicine for senior citizens. That's what Obamacare did.
That's great, but it's deterring from the real problems like that.
What's the real problem? Hold on, buddy. People still get cancer.
People still get cancer, I understand that.
So you want him to solve it the same? Should we write in the legislation? Get rid of what? I would.
Like, we can't talk about it.
We have a lot of common ground on infrastructure. Keep agreeing.
I'm too busy talking to the guy who doesn't.
Well, Obama and Eric Holder. Eric Holder was the one who really worked behind the scenes to try to close Guantanamo. They couldn't even get Democratic support to do that. Do you remember when they were going to try one of the terrorists in New York? And one political party got really scared and said, well, we can't try him in New York. Well, terrorists in New York, they're going to be so close. We have terrorists that are locked up in supermax prisons. We've convicted 176 terrorists in this country. Military tribunals, we've only had 3 trials, and 2 of them weren't convicted. So I want to bring the men that perpetrated these attacks to my courtroom downtown. I want them to be in public. I want them to be convicted with the facts, with a copy of the Constitution, give them due process, and then I want to put them in jail. And then I want to put them in jail for the rest of their lives. I also don't believe the death penalty. I want to put terrorists in jail for the rest of their life if they're convicted in an open public court. So what else? We talk football?
Well, no, because the Patriot Act eradicated football.
We can talk about the Patriot Act for 6 months. And then find me on Facebook or Twitter. We got to finish this later. But we can talk about it for a long time. A long time. Thanks for coming down. It's really good to meet you.
Thank you very much.
Anybody want to have a seat for the 99%? Anyone just tired? I can take these signs down.
You ask him. Maybe he could have.
This guy over here. I love you, man. Thanks for coming down. As I told you again, I get angry sometimes. I really respect you for coming down here because most people, the top 1%, they hire millionaire lobbyists. They hire people to get between them and government, and they hire people to get between them and the public. So the CEO of Goldman Sachs isn't going to come here and defend 15% capital gains tax. He's hoping that a guy like you carries the water, and you are. You're carrying the water.
Tell me why I should face budget cuts and the richest guy in the room should get a tax cut. Tell me why we should reward corporations who are making massive profits and sending our jobs overseas. Tell me why we should.
15% is now.
Tell me why we should reward them with corporate taxes.
2011.
If you just ask them to pay nothing, maybe they'll pay something.
Let's say 3.
So, but how do you fix healthcare without bringing jobs back to the country? Like getting rid of NAFTA?
Every year, right?
I agree with you on that point. I personally.
How are we going to do it without doing that? You can't.
Okay, so by 2016, what he said was that he wanted to raise capital gains tax 3% points a year to ease in the increase. Right now, capital gains is 15%. It used to be 30. By 2016, it would already be 30. Hey, we got some common ground. All right, I like this guy. All right, so can you call your congressman and tell him this?
Well, see, that's part of the
Mine might be too.
See, that's part of the problem we're talking about.
But no, look, this is progress. You know, all your checks, 3% a year, every year. And by 2016, we're at 30. And then we wouldn't have an argument anymore, right? Like your congressman.
That's easy. That's literally,
I call it Medicare for all.
Well, they can't pay for it.
Well, that's called Medicaid. That's called Medicaid. Yeah, if you're expanding the Medicare program, if you're a poor kid and you break your leg, should that bankrupt your family?
No.
Okay, so that's Medicaid.
I say take the programs that we have that work now and expand them. Take Social Security and literally raise the minimum cap for expenditures, right? They cap it off $108,000, and then everything you make after that, you just keep. Raise that cap.
Yeah.
Let the top 1% pay into our Social Security. Guess what it does? It funds it for the next 75 years.
Right.
When I hear people talk about like Social Security as a Ponzi scheme, it makes me laugh because they don't call the Ponzi schemes, right? So in a Ponzi scheme, one guy gets rich and everybody else makes some money until the whole thing falls apart.
Right.
In Social Security, you put your money in, and years later, they give you your money back. Now, when they say in 2037 it's going to go insolvent, that's a myth, really. You're going to get paid 80% of your current payments. It's not like there's no money left, it's just the payments are going to go down. So if we're really going to try to protect that program that's been massively effective for 70 years,
Right, for a lot
what
of
are the
different
choices?
reasons. Right.
Can we fund it, or can we just bleed it dry? Now, the one thing that makes me laugh about it, my point with Social Security, my point with the social safety network in general, is that the people who want to cut it tend to be the people who want to kill it. They cut the funding out of it, and then when it's broken, they say, well, it doesn't work, let's get rid of it. You know what? The guy who voted against it every single time we try to do something in this country, you're not allowed to be against it and then be like, well, you fucked up. It's like me making soup with everyone here, and then someone comes along and just dips their penis in it and says, well, you know, it doesn't taste right. Guess why, dude? You kind of made it bad for the rest of us. So when we have these programs that are effective, that's a misnomer. No, it's not true. If we're going to debate things that are not true, then I can't have a conversation with you. Let's agree on basic facts, right?
People looking at what
That's actually not true. The wealthiest 1% that can afford preventative health care are living longer. The death penalty for not being wealthy is 4 years. You will live 4 years less than someone wealthier than you because you can't go get preventative health care. The problem in this country with healthcare costs is because I can't afford to see a doctor when I'm not sick. If I could get yearly checkups, if we had a system that I paid into, that paid for my health care, like Medicare, if we actually allowed the money that's being spent on the care to go to the person who's sick, we could provide care for everybody. Instead, we take that money and we throw it in a for-profit system. Okay, and you're right. Well, let's say it like this. I agree with you. As far as fraud goes, I wouldn't do what Saudi Arabia does. I kind of like the American system. If we're gonna, no, but that really is. It's the Somalian healthcare system. Nothing. Hey, you want conservative government? Somalia's got it for you. No taxes, no regulations, no holds in the economy whatsoever. It doesn't work. The American system has worked great as far as Social Security goes, as far as Medicare goes. The thing that doesn't work, that we're the only country that does, is have a for-profit system. If I put $1 on the table right now for my healthcare, how much does a CEO out of that earn? How much does he deserve out of my dollar? Should 98% of that dollar go to provide me healthcare? Or should 75%? Or 60%? Or maybe he denies me for pre-existing conditions and none of it goes. So what we keep seeing in these systems is that we pay our money in and then they turn around and say, oh, we're broke, we can't have this program anymore. It costs stuff. That's why our wages suck. Because they look at our wages as an expenditure and not an investment. You know what? If you don't give me money to buy stuff, the economy doesn't go anywhere.
That's the difference between America when it was on the rise and America.
Exactly.
The wealthiest people who can afford to contribute, who can afford to do these extra things, they were willing to do so because they had higher ethical standards, they had a better long-term economic view.
50s, 40s,
50s, they
great expansion.
They paid taxes from 75 to 90%, and they can afford to do it.
Come out tomorrow and have a pill that cures cancer. You don't deserve $100 million. You invented it.
No one's saying that.
Nobody's saying that.
No one's saying that.
You do.
No, but every pill shouldn't cost $30,000.
If you invent the flying machine, right?
Every pill should
flying machine, you should get wealthy if that's a program that works. Should the guy who builds your flying machine work for minimum wage?
Why is that?
You know, no one gets rich by themselves. You have people who work in your factories, you have people who pay taxes for education, so that people are smart enough to work in your factories. You pay taxes for roads so you can drive your products to the market, right? So when people tell me, I got rich, I ask, who helped? You didn't do it by yourself. You had to sell that to someone, right? Now, if you're giving them a good product and a good value, I can't argue with you. But if you're jacking up the price on them to exploit them, then you're not a job creator, you're just a money taker.
Yeah, you're a slave owner.
Let's stop lying to ourselves that if we just make Paris Hilton as happy as possible, all of our problems will go away. Let's stop telling ourselves that if we just buy Charlie Sheen one more lap dance on the house, we'll all get laid. It doesn't work like that.
It doesn't work. Wow. Where are you from? Are you from America?
Right?
I'm from America.
Where are you guys from?
California.
Rock on. There you go. Very good. I apologize for your governor. We're going to try to do something about getting him out of office. In New Jersey, the governor of New Jersey cut taxes for the rich and cut school programs. There's nothing more offensive to me than cutting programs that affect the vision of our future for our youth. That is our #1 investment. If we can't build bridges because we can't tax the only people who have money that can help pay for it, then we don't have bridges in this country. Right? Yeah. Dr. Cornel West yesterday told us that Martin Luther King Jr. would be cheering from the grave for what we're doing here. I'd like to be on his side, you know? I think this should be a continuation of what Dr. Martin Luther King was talking about. Do you realize that when he was assassinated, it was during a labor protest march? That they were fighting for fair wages for people?
Who shot the CIA?
I don't know the different theories. I know the history of it. But my larger point is that for some reason we have this idea if we make the rich as possible, it'll work out for us. As if we were to spray all of our water into the air, it'll turn into clouds and that'll create rain. When you give money to poor people, you know what happens? They're less poor. Right? So if we give more money to the rich who are already rich, what is that accomplishing? You know?
I know.
Give money to people, have it be a rise-up economy, a rising tide lifts all ships. If you increase the purchasing power of the average American and allow them to actually save instead of living on debt, we can have what we've always had in this country, which is a chance at the dream.
It's turning towards us.
We need a growing middle class. We absolutely do.
They have to bring the jobs back. And NAFTA and NAFTA.
You know, unfortunately, I agree with you, and it's kind of like a chicken and egg situation.
Invite everyone to join us in group meditation.
We're going to be over here by the library.
We're going to be over here by the library.
And we'll find a good spot.
We'll find a good spot.
I don't think you'll be able to miss us.
I don't think you'll be able to miss us.
Meditation helps us to be able to focus our energy.
Meditation helps us to focus our energy.
Clarity.
Clarity.
Which we need right now.
Which we need right now.